with the vaccine, that we knew that there is a very fanatic group of anti-vaxxers that will go after us no matter what.
Pfizer CEO speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland this week, addressing the issue of people who are against the needle. Also addressing his plan for upping compliance with his medicines. And he's telling us how many needles we'll need in the future. All this in his sit-down conversation with Klaus Schwab, founder of World Economic Forum. All this as the rest of the media is not really covering this because there are other issues happening, such as mass shootings. But I'm going to keep focusing on these world leaders who are planning for big pharmaceutical things in the future involving you. And the way they're talking, they're not planning to slow their roll on their pharmaceutical gains. So I think that's interesting, as all of us think, well, the pandemic's winding to a halt. Not the way these guys are talking. So I'm just like wondering what they got up their sleeve. Can't wait for you guys to hear all the sound bites, lots of sound bites today. Before we get into it, shout out to the sponsor of my coverage. The hottest temperatures of the year are just around the corner. That means costlier power bills for you and me. This summer, your bill could be higher than usual because of the increased cost for material and supplies across the board. One power company has even increased their rate as high as 50% during peak hours of the day. This is why I highly recommend visiting Easy Summer Cool. This amazing 4-in-1 portable AC unit is a portable, easy to use mini air conditioner. Have it right here. You know, easy to use mini air conditioner. I keep mine on every day, and it sits right by my desk and blows chilly air into the room every several hours. I'm saving a ton more on my power bill with the flick of a button. This AC unit works as 4 devices in one, an air cooler, mist cooler, air purifier, and air humidifier. Anyone who wants to save on their power bill should have one in their room. Learn more by going to easysummercool.com. You'll save 50% off if for Father's Day. Hit the link down below. Okay, guys, you want to hear all that Albert Bourla, CEO of Pfizer, had to say about those who do not want his needle? Let's play that. Here it is.
With the vaccine, that we knew that there is a very fanatic group of anti-vaxxers that will go after us no matter what. They will claim that the sun didn't go up because people were vaccinated, and that created issues with the crop, so I'm suing you. And one thing it is to sue you in the US, another thing is to sue you in a country where the legal system is not up to that standards, or in Switzerland, right? So I think that's behind us. Everything went okay, and now I think we can move on.
I think we were both targets of the anti-vaccine movements and conspiracy people claiming that I had triple. I wondered what it is, triple COVID. Yeah, and something. Well, was I think he got hundreds of thousands of clicks and so on. I know you were also target.
I read one day that was arrested by FBI.
Yeah, same happened to me.
And there are pictures of me and FBI officers. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I never said. The surprising thing it is that the same publication, I found out because I had published, the previous one that was arrested was the Pope by FBI. So, ridiculous.
Yeah, so we are good company.
At least I was in good company.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny to watch them talking about the people who don't like them. But I mean, the stories about big public figures being arrested by FBI or killed or whatever, I've seen those too. There are some genuine straight up fake news sites that just pander to people who have a lot of questions, who are not trusting the mainstream media. So in this time of doubt which I 100% doubt the mainstream media. I think they're corrupt AF. That's why I left the mainstream media. But it opens the door for genuine fake AF news outlets to take advantage of you and post articles about like those guys getting arrested when they never got arrested. So it's a difficult time to find the truth right now. But let's cut to the chase on Albert Bourla, CEO of Pfizer, talking about his plan for boosting compliance, getting people to take his pharmaceuticals, and how many needles he thinks you should have in the future. The answer is endless needles. He wants you to take his needles for the rest of your life. Yep, that's what he's about to say. Here it is.
How many vaccinations do we need in the future?
It's a very good question. And I think, first of all, I think we will need vaccinations in the future, but also I'm concerned that the compliance of the population with the recommendations of the experts will not be very high. More people did the first dose, and then lesser did the second, and then lesser will do the third and the fourth. And so for that reason, we need to find a solution that makes it easy for people to get. And I think this solution, it is the number one priority is to have a vaccine that lasts a year. So once people know that it is once a year, I do it every autumn, for example, fall, I think that will improve the amount of people that are getting the vaccine.
And I think there are also certain attempts to combine it with a anti-flu vaccine.
That is another very good way to make it, to improve compliance. If someone thinks that I'm going to go to the doctor or to the pharmacy, but at least with one shot I will get two, flu and that also will increase the number. So these are the things. It's very difficult to improve the efficacy right now. It's very, very high. But what you can improve it is how convenient it is and how can last the efficacy for a longer period of time.
All right. So the mainstream media is kind of covering this. Here's Business Insider talking about Pfizer vows to no longer profit off of poor countries. That was the big announcement today with the Pfizer CEO sitting down at World Economic Forum. But I want you guys to see everything else he said. So this is the mainstream narrative, is that, he's now no longer going to seek a profit when he sends the needles over to poor countries, because that's how badly he wants poor countries to get his needle more than he wants profit. And let's face it, his company has an immense profit margin, which we'll get into. So it's like he can definitely afford to have a filthy rich profit and give away needles for free to poor countries so that every human on the planet is needled. Let's look here at his plan. He's saying that the U.S. actually donated a lot of needles, and that wasn't enough. So just be aware. You probably didn't know that your tax dollars were going to sticking people in the arm around the world. But this is what he's talking about. The U.S. literally bought up so many piles of needles from Albert Bourla that he didn't. Albert Bourla, CEO of Pfizer, did not even have to donate these needles to poor countries, because Joe Biden did that instead. At all thanks to our tax dollars, but really all thanks to printed money as our inflation soars. So here he is talking about this.
What we discovered through the pandemic was that supply was not enough to resolve the issues that these countries are having. Right now, for example, there are billions of doses of our vaccine, the vaccine that was used in Europe, in the US, that it is offered to low-income countries for free. And it is offered by the US government mainly, but also by the European Union, but they're doing donations. So the US government bought for us at cost and they donate it. They can't use them right now because we discovered that one thing is supply and the other thing is to have educated population that believe that vaccines is doing well, to have doctors or nurses that will administer, to have infrastructure and logistical that you can store it in every place in the country and not only in the capital of the country. A lot of things are missing. For this reason, given the lessons that we got, in addition to the initiative that is broad and addresses 45 countries, we selected 5 of them that the governments are really keen to work on these issues as well. Those 5, it is Rwanda, Malawi, Uganda, Ghana, and Senegal. So with those 5, we signed already our letters of intent, and we will work not only giving them the medicines, but on the ground to identify blockages between the medicine arrives in the country and the medicines is used by a patient. Is it?
So as you can see, as we think that our pandemic is winding to an end, he's making plans to ramp things up. He's identified 5 poor countries that Pfizer can really infiltrate, sink its teeth into, and get all the medicines, the needles, all of it out to those countries, and then disseminate from there to the neighboring poor countries and get everyone needled up, gulping down pills, all the stuff. That's his vision. And you can see that our tax dollars, or our US printed money, went to his company, and then those needles were disseminated worldwide and then wasted, he said. So Joe Biden used our tax dollars and our printed money to send to foreign nations where the needles were not even used, because people weren't propagandized enough to take the needles. Healthcare workers didn't know how to give the needles, and also they didn't have the ability to store these needles. You realize that this new needle technology, that little liquid in the vial has to be stored at immensely low temperatures. And so they just didn't have all those resources available in those nations. So Joe Biden wasted a bunch of printed US dollars on nations that didn't even want the needle to begin with. Like most of these countries in Africa have had very, very few people getting the needle. And also, interestingly, the illness rates there are very low if you look at the World Health map. So interesting times. Let's get to the big headline, which was offering Albert Bourla's Pfizer medicine at cost. He's no longer going to try to make a profit off of the 45 poorest nations in the world.
You made a major announcement, groundbreaking announcements this morning. Can you tell us a little bit more?
First of all, thank you for the honor, Chairman, to be here with you. Today we announced that we will offer all our patent-protected medicines, all vaccines or medicines that currently exist in the US or in Europe, to the 45 poorest countries of the world. It is a population of 1.2 billion people at cost. And we also make the commitment that every year, as we discover and bring to the US or to Europe or to the world new medicines, automatically those new medicines will be inserted into the offer of the portfolio that we will offer into these countries. I think that it's really a fulfillment of a dream that we had together with my leadership team when we started in 19. The first week we met in January of 19 in California, and to set up the goals for the next 5 years. And one of them was by 2023, we will reduce the number of people in the world that cannot afford our medicines by 50%.
And to that, Klaus Schwab, the chief of World Economic Forum, says, you know what, Bourla, you are such a saint. I just cannot believe that when you ventured out on all this, you didn't ask for public funding. I guess he didn't need to ask for public funding. He knew that every nation's public funding was going to go to him very shortly. And this company, Pfizer, has cashed out. Here's Schwab patting Pfizer on the back.
I think what is remarkable is the fact that you went into this direction or venture without asking for public help, as far as I know, because you could have probably had access to billions of dollars, but you did it yourself, you did it alone, together with your partner, also BioNTech.
Yeah, you may not have known, Borla actually took over as the CEO of Pfizer in 2019. He's a brand new CEO. They put him in place just in time for the pandemic. Interestingly, at World Economic Forum in 2018, he was on a panel where he was talking about exciting innovations where the FDA had just approved chip technology, where the chip goes in your pill when you ingest the medicine. You can be remotely tracked to make sure that you have indeed taken the medicine you're supposed to take. That is something that Borla said that I've played on my previous YouTubes, and I've seen a lot of people. I think Ted Cruz just replayed that soundbite finally. Finally, people are starting to find the soundbite of Borla from 2018. He was the COO of Pfizer at that time. Now he's the CEO. Anyway, so Schwab's like, you're such a saint. You didn't even ask for public funding before you ventured out on making this new needle technology. Well, guess what? They've absolutely cashed out. Associated Press just this month talking about the first quarter of this year. Pfizer profit soars in first quarter. Revises 2022 forecast. I was looking at sec.gov. They are projecting 100 100 billion in revenue for Pfizer in 2022. 100 billion after they absolutely cashed out in 2021 with 81 billion. Let me share with you guys Pfizer's website itself. This is Pfizer.com. Financial performance 2021 was a year in which we set all-time highs in several financial categories. And it says here that they made $81 billion last year from all of their new pharmaceuticals. 2020, they made $41 billion. 2019, $40 billion. Previous to that, they would make about $40 billion a year. So they more than doubled their revenue in 2021. And now the projection for 2022 was that they were going to make $100 billion. Keep on increasing their revenue as Joe Biden keeps telling more people to get the needle. And now, if this new illness is treated more like the flu, as Borla is envisioning, you're going to be getting that needle every year, and that revenue is going to be locked in. And here's the thing, that needle is free to you. As you think, we all think this needle is free to us. Like, it's not coming out of my pocketbook to get the needle. But Joe Biden is paying for the needle with your money indirectly. What he's doing is that actually normally he would be taxing you and paying for the needle that through your tax dollars, but we're so beyond budget at this point that the Fed is just printing dollars out of thin air for Joe Biden, and then Joe Biden takes that made up money that the Fed just printed and pays Borla for more needles for you to get annually now, combined with your flu shot. And that is why everything's costing more right now. Meat costs more, gas prices cost more, immense inflation, because money is being printed like none other. Biden has been trying to get 20 plus billion more passed by Congress so that he can send more money to Borla for even more needle technology, because Borla is trying to update this needle as the variants continue to develop. He wants needles that match the new variants. So Joe Biden wants to help fund that project. Joe Biden has talked about this, and it's all, nothing is actually free to you. You're going to be paying for this. So he talks about Pfizer being so fortunate to have this pandemic. This is kind of creepy the way he words this. Pfizer was really fortunate in this moment of darkness we cashed out.
To take on COVID-19, to produce your vaccines, it must have meant a major change of the company. I mean, you had traditional, successful products, and now suddenly you have an overriding objective. How did you manage this?
First of all, it was challenging, but in our being unfortunate to have COVID, that was also fortunate because it drove very different behaviors. Let's remember that the times that we were trying to develop a solution faster than a smaller biotech, that was the challenge for Pfizer, how to move fast, because we are big, right? But these were days of darkness, with no hope in the horizon. So people were afraid that the civilization, the way we know it, could disappear. That was a tremendous weapon in my effort to convince everyone that we need to go about making the impossible possible, because there are a lot at stake. And then, surprise, surprise, they made the impossible possible.
So
He just straight up said he used fear and moments of darkness to his advantage to cash out, to make the impossible possible by forcing through a needle for FDA approval sooner than possible. He talked about his partnership with the FDA. He talked on the same interview about that and how he couldn't have done it without the partnership with the FDA. Schwab asked him about the prolongation of this pandemic and his prediction for the next pandemic. Here's what he said.
You look more to the future. Do we have to expect a prolongation of the pandemic, or at least the epidemic, or how would you foresee the future?
Yes.
Or do we have to, and I may immediately ask a second question, should we be afraid of another virus? And what does it mean, how we create the necessary resilience personally, nationally, globally?
On the first question, I don't think that the virus will disappear. We are not certain about it, but most scientists agree that the virus will be around forever. But the real question that everybody is asking is not this. It is, can we get our lives back? Can we live normal economic activity, normal social activity with the virus presence? And the answer is yes. I think we can. Absent a variant that we have not foreseen right now, that can happen, but it is not the most likely scenario. I think we have the means right now, very effective vaccines. As the virus mutates, we have the ability to follow up and let's say update the vaccines and to have treatments.
Hold up. Okay, he just called the needle very effective, and he's going to have updates, new versions of his needle. So he is not slowing his roll. He's planning to cash out permanently. But I wonder if he and Bill Gates are still friends, because he just said exactly the opposite of what Bill Gates did. Bill Gates this week was trashing Borla's needle and saying, dude, it doesn't even work. Take a look.
It'd be more valuable if you had an infection-blocking vaccine. I mean, the idea of checking if people are vaccinated, you know, if you have breakthrough infections, what's the point?
What's the point? What's the point with checking if they've had the needle if it doesn't work? There's breakthroughs. Bill Gates said this a couple times. Here's where Bill, I don't know, he's saying, no, the needle was great. It saved a lot of lives, but it also didn't work. Take a look.
The vaccines have saved millions of lives, but they don't have much in the way of duration, and they're not good at infection blocking.
So I don't see an end, sadly, to the narratives that we're going to be seeing regarding you needing to get some sort of pharmaceutical. These heavy hitters are planning on something in the future. I mean, Joe Biden and his White House have talked about the plan that there's going to be 100 million infections in our country this fall. Joe Biden is saying that, and the White House is saying that, and the media is parroting it. And this guy is talking about needles way out into the future. So just be prepared. These people are going to continue this stuff, and I know that concerns a lot of my viewers. And they're like, well, you know, what's that mean for our election in 2022? Because it was clear in 2020 that states threw out their own election code to just create these makeshift boxes where people put their vote in, and that opened the door for a lot of mischief. And so I know that voters are really concerned about, you know, medical emergency excuses that compromise elections. That's going to be really concerning. But so we got to keep our eye on that. And you know, if you don't want that, then make your voice heard. Don't just sit around. But for Borla, I mean, he's seeing dollar signs. He's seeing a lot of dollar signs, and he's also seeing a globe where every single person has had his needle. He's pretty excited about it. He's actually going to be donating 1.2 billion needles to the poorest people at cost. So the country will buy it, and he will make zero profit from those poor countries, because he's making plenty enough profit from the other countries. But be prepared in getting in this whole narrative about getting the needle. They're going to continue to spin this thing of like, no, you have to do it for others, not just for yourself, but for the people around you. Here's the thing. If the needle's so effective, then if you get it, you're good and they're good. You're not going to spread it. You know, you're not going to catch it. So if everyone just gets it, so if grandma got it and the old people were the first to get it, then she's good. But they're going to continue to push it. You know, even though grandma got it, you still need to protect her by getting it yourself.
You vaccinate not only for yourself, you vaccinate also to protect society, and particularly to protect those that you love the most, because they are the ones that you are together.
So there it is. I just want to update you guys on what they're talking about over in Switzerland right now. Lots going on at the World Economic Forum, as well as World Health Assembly. It's still going on all week. And I'm going to try to have an update for you guys on that, hopefully tomorrow, because I know there were a lot of questions about the amendments. And on Tuesday, when the U.S. was supposed to present its amendment, we didn't see that happen. So are they going to try to do something slick later on this week? I'm going to see if I can have an update for you guys on that, and discuss more, you know, maybe about this mass shooting. I know people have a lot of questions about how the shooter had so much money to buy expensive weapons and ammo when he's just a poor 18-year-old hanging out with his grandma. So there's a lot of questions swarming on everything. Let me check your comments here. Thanks so much for tuning in and joining the conversation with your comments. Smash the like button. That's right. Body slam the like button. Subscribe and share this video with your friends. And let's see. You're doing a great job. Glad you left Corrupt Fox. Thank you so much. Yeah, Fox is, you know, they are a gossip outlet. Well, Fox, you know, Fox News is a gossip outlet. They just talk, you know, can you believe that this leftist said this? And then CNN and MSNBC are another gossip outlet. Can you believe that this right-winger said this? And they all just gossip about each other. Meanwhile, the world's burning down and the elites are planning big schemes. So it's like, dude, can we stop with the gossip about each other and focus on preserving our liberty? Okay, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Stay free, Ivory. Thank you. I am trying to do that. You wouldn't believe the amount of opportunities I've turned down because I want my independence more than anything. I've turned down a lot of money and a lot of jobs because I just want to be completely uncompromised and free, and be able to bring you important information when I come across it. Thank you all for sending me news tips whenever you have them. I am always looking out for your messages and your emails with tips about what's going on in the world, what you want me to cover, what you think I may be missing that I should dig into more. I'm always looking out for those and seeing what you guys care about and digging further into it. I know you guys care a lot about Bill Gates, which is why I've done several segments on him, really looking into what he's up to. So, I definitely catering my coverage to your interests. So let me know what you guys want me to cover next. And you guys have a great one. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Guys, there's major issues and upheavals with Truth Bombs, my awesome podcast. So we'll see what we can finagle tomorrow. But, the co-host situation is up in the air. So tune in tomorrow and we will continue covering hot topics. Apparently the World Economic Forum apparently they care about free press. So we're going to look into what World Economic Forum is really up to in regards to free press and whether they're living in opposite land. All right. We'll see you guys later.